Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that somebody should have told you a long time ago. You don't have to stay poor. I don't care where you started. I don't care what your bank account looks like right now. I don't care how many times life has knocked you down. Your present condition is not your permanent address. Most people make the mistake of believing that their starting point determines their destination. They look around at their circumstances, the neighborhood they grew up in, the financial struggles their family faced, the limited opportunities they were exposed to, and they quietly accept that this must be how life is meant to be. But your current situation is only a snapshot in time. It is not the full story of who you are or who you can become. Life is not a fixed path handed to you at birth. It is something that shifts and reshapes itself the moment you decide to move in a different direction. Think about it for a second. Every successful person you admire once stood somewhere uncertain. Many of them had moments when they felt overlooked, underestimated, or stuck. What separated them was not luck or perfection. It was their refusal to let temporary conditions define their permanent identity. When you stop labeling yourself by your problems, you begin to see possibilities that were always there, but hidden behind doubt. It is important to understand that circumstances can influence you, but they do not have the authority to control you unless you allow them to. You might not have chosen where you started, but you absolutely have a voice in where you go next. The danger comes when people become so familiar with their struggles that they stop imagining anything better. Comfort can exist even inside limitation, simply because it is known and predictable. Growth, on the other hand, often requires stepping into uncertainty and trusting that you can adapt along the way. There will always be reasons to believe change is impossible. Maybe you feel you lack resources, guidance, or support. Maybe you have experienced setbacks that made you question your ability to move forward. But history continues to show that progress often begins with a single decision, the decision to no longer see yourself as trapped. Once your perspective shifts, your behavior naturally follows. You begin to notice opportunities instead of obstacles. You start asking different questions, meeting different people, and exploring paths you may have ignored before. Another powerful truth is that comparison can quietly convince you to stay where you are. Looking at others who seem far ahead might make your own progress feel insignificant. Yet every journey unfolds at its own pace, and what matters most is that you keep moving. Small, consistent steps can carry you farther than occasional bursts of effort. Over time, the habits you build create momentum, and that momentum can open doors you never expected. Remember also that setbacks are not proof that you are meant to remain where you started. They are often signs that you are stretching beyond your comfort zone. Each challenge teaches resilience, and resilience strengthens your ability to handle greater responsibility when success arrives. If you learn from difficult moments instead of letting them define you, they become part of the foundation you stand on, rather than barriers in your way. So lift your eyes beyond what is immediately in front of you. Allow yourself to imagine a future that looks different from your present. The moment you understand that your situation is changeable is the moment you reclaim your sense of direction. Your life is not confined to one chapter, and no matter how modest the beginning may seem, the pages ahead remain unwritten, waiting for the choices you are brave enough to make. Everything begins with the way you think. Before any visible change happens in your life, there is first a shift in your mindset. The truth is, two people can stand in the exact same situation and walk away with completely different futures, simply because they choose to see their possibilities differently. One person focuses on limitations and convinces themselves that nothing will ever improve, while the other looks for even the smallest opening and decides to grow through it. Your mind is powerful, and once you train it to search for progress instead of defeat, your actions naturally begin to reflect that belief. It is easy to underestimate how much your daily thoughts influence your direction. When you repeatedly tell yourself that something is out of reach, you stop trying. Over time, hesitation becomes a habit, and that habit quietly builds walls around your potential. On the other hand, when you allow yourself to believe that improvement is possible, you begin to act with more courage. You start taking chances, learning new things, and stepping into spaces that once felt intimidating. Confidence is not something people are simply born with. It is something that grows each time you keep a promise to yourself. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Motivation can give you a strong start, but discipline is what carries you forward on the days when excitement fades. There will be mornings when you do not feel like putting in the effort, and evenings when distractions seem more appealing than progress. Those are the moments that shape your future the most. Choosing consistency over convenience may not always feel rewarding in the moment, yet it steadily builds a life that reflects your commitment. Consider the impact of small decisions repeated over time. Waking up a little earlier to focus on your goals, dedicating time to learning, practicing patience instead of seeking quick rewards. These actions might appear minor, but they compound in ways that can transform your path. Success rarely arrives all at once. It is usually the result of quiet preparation that no one else sees. When you stay disciplined, you are essentially casting votes for the person you are becoming. Another important part of changing your mindset is learning to take responsibility for your choices. This does not mean blaming yourself for every difficulty, but it does mean recognizing your ability to respond with intention. When you accept that your reactions are within your control, you step into a sense of ownership that is incredibly empowering. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions, you begin working with what you have, trusting that progress is still possible. Patience also plays a significant role in this journey. Growth often unfolds gradually, and it can be tempting to give up when results are not immediate. Yet meaningful change requires time. Much like a seed needs consistent care before it breaks through the soil. Staying disciplined during these quieter phases strengthens your resilience and prepares you for greater opportunities ahead. Surrounding yourself with positive influences can further reinforce this transformation. The attitudes and behaviors you regularly witness tend to shape your own expectations. When you engage with people who encourage growth and demonstrate determination, their example can remind you of what is achievable. At the same time, learning to protect your focus from negativity helps you maintain the clarity needed to keep moving forward. As your mindset evolves and your discipline deepens, you begin to notice something remarkable. Challenges that once felt overwhelming start to look manageable, and goals that once seemed distant begin to feel attainable. The change may not happen overnight, but each thoughtful decision strengthens the path you are creating, guiding you steadily toward a future shaped not by circumstance, but by purpose. Fear has a quiet way of shaping decisions long before you even realize it is present. It rarely announces itself loudly. Instead, it appears as hesitation, overthinking, or the constant urge to wait for the right time. Many people remain exactly where they are not because they lack ability, but because fear convinces them that moving forward is too risky. It paints vivid pictures of what could go wrong and often ignores what could go wonderfully right. When you allow fear to take the lead, your world slowly becomes smaller, limited only to what feels safe and familiar. One of the most common fears is the fear of failure. People worry about making mistakes, being judged, or falling short of expectations. Yet failure is not a sign that you are incapable. It is often evidence that you are trying something challenging. Every meaningful pursuit carries uncertainty, and missteps are part of the learning process. When you begin to see mistakes as lessons rather than verdicts on your worth, they lose much of their power over you. Instead of stopping, you adjust, grow wiser, and continue with greater awareness. Another fear that holds people back is the fear of change. Even when current circumstances are uncomfortable, they can still feel safer than stepping into the unknown. Familiar struggles sometimes feel easier to manage than unfamiliar opportunities. But growth requires movement, and movement naturally brings some level of discomfort. Think of it like building strength. Without resistance, there is no development. The moment you accept that discomfort is not your enemy but a sign of expansion, you start to approach change with more openness. Excuses often walk hand in hand with fear. They can sound logical and even responsible on the surface. You might tell yourself that you need more time, more resources, or more certainty before taking action. While preparation is valuable, waiting endlessly for perfect conditions can quietly turn into avoidance. Opportunities rarely arrive wrapped in perfection. They often appear messy and incomplete, requiring courage to pursue them anyway. When you become aware of the difference between thoughtful preparation and self-imposed delay, you reclaim the momentum that excuses tend to steal. It is also important to notice how the opinions of others can amplify fear. The possibility of criticism can make you question your direction before you have truly begun. Yet every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has faced doubt from somewhere. People may project their own worries onto your path, not out of ill intent, but because your willingness to try something different challenges their sense of what is possible. Learning to listen to guidance while still trusting your inner judgment creates a balance that keeps you grounded without holding you back. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means choosing to act even when fear is present. Often, the anticipation of a challenge feels far more intimidating than the experience itself. Once you take the first step, you gather evidence that you are more capable than you imagined. Each action builds confidence, and confidence gradually quiets the voice that once urged you to stay still. There is also strength in recognizing that progress does not demand bold leaps every single time. Sometimes courage shows itself through steady, deliberate steps forward. Each time you move beyond an excuse or face something you once avoided, you expand your sense of what you can handle. Over time, what once seemed intimidating begins to feel natural, and new horizons come into view. By meeting fear with curiosity instead of retreat and replacing excuses with intentional effort, you create space for growth to unfold. The path ahead may still hold uncertainty, but with every choice to continue rather than withdraw, you reinforce a mindset that values possibility over limitation, allowing your direction to be guided more by purpose than by hesitation. There comes a point in every journey where effort alone does not seem to explain how doors begin to open. You work, you prepare, you remain consistent, yet there is also a deeper force that keeps you steady when results are not immediately visible. Many people describe this as faith, the quiet confidence that what you are building today has meaning, even if the evidence has not fully appeared. Faith is not about ignoring reality. It is about trusting that your present dedication is shaping a future you cannot yet clearly see. Believing in something beyond your current circumstances can give you remarkable strength. When challenges arise, faith reminds you that difficult moments are not necessarily signals to stop. They are often invitations to grow stronger. Without that inner trust, it becomes easy to abandon your path at the first sign of resistance. But when you hold on to belief, you develop patience, and patience allows your efforts the time they need to mature. Persistence is what turns belief into progress. Almost anyone can feel excited at the beginning of a new goal, but the true test arrives when the novelty fades and obstacles appear. Persistence means continuing with determination even when motivation fluctuates. It is the decision to try again after a disappointment, to stand back up after a setback, and to keep refining your approach instead of concluding that success is out of reach. Over time, this steady commitment creates a resilience that cannot be easily shaken. It is important to understand that persistence does not require perfection. You will have days when your energy feels low or when things do not go according to plan. What matters most is your willingness to return to your purpose rather than letting temporary frustration define your direction. Progress often looks less like a straight line and more like a series of adjustments. Each attempt teaches you something valuable, making you better prepared for the opportunities that lie ahead. Hard work plays a vital role in this process because it transforms intention into tangible results. Dreams remain distant when they are not supported by action. Putting in consistent effort sharpens your abilities and builds confidence in what you can offer. While talent can open the initial door, it is dedication that keeps you moving forward once you step through it. People who commit themselves fully to growth often discover strengths they did not realize they possessed. Preparation also has a way of attracting opportunity. When you invest time in learning, improving, and staying ready, you position yourself to recognize possibilities that others might overlook. Sometimes an unexpected chance appears, and those who have been quietly developing their skills are able to respond with readiness rather than hesitation. What may look like sudden success is often the result of many unseen hours of preparation. Along this path, maintaining a sense of gratitude can help you remain grounded. Recognizing how far you have come encourages a positive outlook and fuels the determination to continue. Gratitude does not mean ignoring your ambitions. It means appreciating each step while still reaching for the next one. This balance keeps your perspective healthy and your motivation steady. When faith steadies your heart, persistence strengthens your resolve, and hard work shapes your capabilities, you begin to notice a shift in how you approach life. Challenges become chances to refine your character. Effort becomes a daily habit, and opportunity starts to feel less like luck and more like the natural meeting point between preparation and purpose.